Yeah, over to you, Chetna ma'am. We are live.
A very good evening to our guest for the evening, Shubha Priya, and to the wonderful audience, the literati out there. On behalf of the Chandigarh Literary Society, here's welcoming all of you to this Sunday special edition of the IPL. Oops, IPL? Well, you heard me right. It's our version called the Irreverent Poetry League. And who better than our guest here today to be part of it? So, hello, Shubha. Welcome on the
Hi,
show.
hi, Chetna. Thank you so much for having me here with all your wonderful fans. It's going to be a pleasure, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, well, I don't want to sound like Wikipedia, as I always say. So, I'm going to just, describe our guest for today in one word. You may have seen, celebrities having their, quirky quirks. Amitabh Bachchan wearing two wristwatches on one hand of two different colors. So there are many, there's Salman Khan wearing that wristband and all those, signature styles of the celebrities. So what describes our guest in one word, actually, not a word, it's an object, is this spectacle. And when I say spectacles, you will notice that uh, the it has one square frame and one round frame. So, to define our guest, who is an advertising professional turned author, in one word, I would say that she's as quirky as these spectacles. Is that it? I'm so curious to know, Shubha. I mean, where in the world did you get this kind of pair of spectacles?
You know, quirk attracts me, or I attract quirk, or I don't know. It looks for me, and I look for it. And I found it in a thrift store in London, or was it? It's a quirk store in London, and it's just reading glasses. They're just off the shelf reading glasses, and it
Hmm.
cost just £1. It looked so cool, so I just took it off the shelf. Little did I know that one day this would turn into a bookmark for my book.
Hmm. I
So it
do.
got designed into it. So
Wow. I mean, what a wonderful, quirky bookmark to have, Okay. So, let's tell our viewers a little bit about what our lovely lady here has been up to. And, I'm saying this with a twinge of envy.
oh,
Here, here
indeed,
we all
I can say
are
that about you.
Here we all are waiting for the pandemic to get over before we can leg it to the lit fests. And here is this lovely lady who's already had an outing at an online Lit Fest, which is none other than the prestigious Jaipur Lit Fest London edition, which happened in September recently. And one of her poems from her book, Whimsical Brew, made it to the Jaipur Writer Shorts section at the JLF London. So, how can we not envy you this? Anyways, so we would love to hear the story behind that. And what intrigues me, have you, signed up some kind of contract with Lady Luck? I mean, maybe she was tipsy on checking out shots. You crept up to her, or maybe
Yes,
she was confused about what to do with Donald Trump, when he pressed her to
absolutely.
do a poem. And she
Yeah.
thought, and Lady Luck probably thought the brew looks better than the bloke. So,
Chetna, yes.
hmm,
Well, everything is with me is a quirk of fate. Yes, and I'm pretty much sure the book itself was all extremely serendipitous. Nothing was planned. Everything just happened
okay,
because it wanted to happen. I suppose it just
yeah,
I happened to say, okay, channel it through me, and
yeah,
it
yeah,
happened.
yeah. But JLS, how did this whole outing at the online
Yes,
JLS happen?
that really was a stroke of bizarre luck, I would say, because I happened to just see this ad on JLF on the Facebook site, which said that they were looking. Do you have a poem in you that you would like to read out?
Hmm.
Then send it to us. A 3-minute video, and that's all it takes. And I thought, really? I mean, no clue where it would appear, what it would turn into. So for a lark, I just sat in my bedroom, and uh, I read out the one poem that I thought would bring laughs, and I sent it out. I had
Hmm.
no idea how they were going to use it. I presumed that there would be an entire hour of poets, who are going to be on this. But what happened is that we didn't know a thing. All I was sent is a link which said, you will be on at around 10:45 p.m. That's it. So, while I was looking through the other previous hourly programs, I realized that right at the end of the program, there'd be a poet. So I think they had in all around 12 poets in the penultimate day of the Lit Fest in London. And they
Okay.
happened to put mine. Absolute quirk of fate. Please, I don't think this has anything to do with deserving it or anything. It just happened that it went into the last slot before the grand debate, so it kind of like a finale slot. I think that was for me. I was gobsmacked. I had no idea that it would be like that. But yeah.
Uh, yeah, so the journey is amazing. It's incredible. And here again, I have to ask, what's with you advertising girls? Anuja Chauhan, a best-selling author, Indu Balachandran having two of her books going places globally, and Shubha Priya, the first book she writes, and she has an outing at JLF London. Are you girls going to leave something for us?
See, first of all, I absolutely don't belong where Anuja Chauhan and Indu are. I really don't. This is a
That's what
self-published.
you're going to think.
Yeah, no, really, honestly,
Hmm.
I truly feel that, yeah, this is something that I just did like a hobby, and it was
Okay.
just fun to do, and I self-published because no publisher would touch it, right? They don't want poems. Um,
Hmm.
but this is a designed book, so it was a completely
So
different trip.
how did the transition from advertising to authorhood happen? I mean, how would you symbolize it?
That's really interesting, and very often I've really wondered about this, Chetna, because in advertising we learn the tricks of communication, right? You don't
Yeah.
bore your audience. You write things in short pithy phrases that will get somebody's attention. We have 30 seconds to tell a story. Now all these are terrific learnings, right? So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
when I was looking at at the way my poetry began, it started with a title, for instance, which will say, designer scars. And I think, what was that supposed to be? And I realized that I have to write a poem about tattoos, for instance. So there's a whole poem that would just evolve with tattoos. So, this kind of thinking where I had no brief, I had no target audience, I had no client, I had no deadline. I didn't even have a product, right? It was just organically growing, and I just gave it a shot. So I wrote one poem, and then I said, "Oh my God, maybe this is looking for a doodle." I'd ask the poem, "What do you want to become?" And the poem would say, "I want to be a graphic, or I want to, doodle something into me, or I want to be a joke." So all of this just evolved poem by poem by poem. I never showed it to anyone because it was, it's so embarrassing. You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I was looking to see who has done poetry like this. And that's one of the reasons I went into this field, because,
Yeah.
I wanted to explore something no one else had done, in a way.
Because the subtitle of your book, the title is Whimsical Brew, and the subtitle reads refreshes the parts other poems cannot reach. So where did that come from?
Yeah, that too was again a stroke of serendipity. In the 1970s, there was an iconic slogan, an advertising slogan for Heineken beer, and it went, "Refreshes the paths other beers cannot reach." And it became so famous that they had so many versions of it, and it went on for years. It was the line was always, parodied and reused in so many creative ways. When I was designing my book, this line hit me, and that's why I think as you'll see here, I'm not sure, you'll
Mm-hmm.
see
Yeah,
the beard. Yeah, the
yeah,
beard
yeah.
is settled in the bottom, and all the ants are, are
How
sucking up the dregs.
beautiful.
So it was a beer. I mean, because
Yeah.
of that line, the
Hmm.
cover of the book became a glass of beer. Oh, sorry.
Hmm.
And when you open it, sorry, it's
Yeah,
it's all those
so,
ants.
so that's this so beautifully that advertising meets authorhood on the cover of your book itself.
Yeah, it's the opposite of advertising. I did the reverse of what you normally do. You
Yeah.
don't start to work until you have a brief. And here I was, I had no idea what I was doing. So it was quite
Okay,
reverse.
but you describe yourself as an anti-poet, and why is that?
Um, I'm too dumb to get poetry, actually. If you see, my poems are so simple that it doesn't take a whole lot of intelligence, or even emotion to get it. I mean, it's just fun stuff. It's lighthearted, right? But I find that most poetry, you really have to focus and know, and and apply. I really couldn't get a lot of the angst that people wrote with, or it was too complicated for me, and some of the blank verse I wouldn't get. I'm a person who loves rhythm and music, and it has to resonate in the poetry that one writes. So
Hmm.
I felt that it would be great if I could write the kind of poetry that Ogden Nash used to write, because it had so much quirk and humor, and that was part of my childhood growing
Yes.
up. My dad fed us on this.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm coming to him. If Ogden Nash hadn't happened, what or where would you be?
I I don't know. I would have stumbled upon somebody else, maybe. I was looking for a contemporary writer who does this now. And I did find somebody in London who's writing this kind of stuff. I'm sure there are lots of people, actually, but very, very few people who attempt this kind of thing. So I just felt that the world has become such a serious place. Why is everybody writing poetry that's full of angst? What happened to the light-hearted fun that our earlier poets used to write about, including Indian vernacular poets, and
Hmm.
like Shukumar Rai, for instance, in
Yeah.
Bengali.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm coming to Shukumar Rai because the father of Satyajit Rai,
Yes.
Shukumar Rai, been a huge influence on Shubha Priya, and so we would love to know how he shaped your poetic vocabulary, or how he influenced you, and because he wrote in Bangla, so how did how did you assimilate his vocabulary?
No, I don't understand Bengali at all, but I did know that my sister's son-in-law is Bengali, and I was so excited when he had abol tabol with him at home, and he used to carry it everywhere around the world he went. That was one of the first things he would pack, and I made him read out some of the poems in Bengali, and he did a lovely, translation of what it meant, the quirks of the language, the liberties he took with it, the puns in it. So all of that also felt like, wow, this is so, it hasn't been done in so long, and Shukumar Rai is long gone. Why aren't there more contemporary writers, even in the vernacular, who are doing stuff like this? So that was exciting to me, really.
Yeah. We must tell our viewers that you just don't write poetry. You also illustrate it, as they've already seen, the cover of your book. So for our, bright audience out there, we would love you to tell, firstly, in just one line, how would you describe doodling? And your journey, how did you foray into doodling and photo doodling, and any anecdote connected with it,
Yes.
you share?
Okay. Chetna, that one word about doodling is something I learned from a world famous artist called Quentin Blake. He's a British
Okay.
artist. And
Okay.
all he said, I mean, he has this absolutely refreshing style where it's just, nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect. So he says the confidence that comes from a scribble, where you're not looking for perfection at all, but you capture the spirit of the thing you're drawing. He said you need a gung ho attitude. So if you ask me in one word, doodle as if you are gung ho about it. So some of the lines are all, teda, and they're not straight at all, but it feels like, it's that doesn't matter. You need to have that energy to just chuck it on paper. And
So,
yeah, gung
yeah.
ho is the word.
That's it. That's it. So that's doodling for you. And I recall you were telling some very interesting experience you had when you were in Indonesia, and how that underscored the importance of visuals and
Visuals,
do.
yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
would love you to share that with our
We've
viewers.
always been writers. I was a writer in advertising.
Yeah,
I used to
yeah,
work
yeah,
very closely with art directors, and
yeah.
I always felt, oh no, I wish I had been an art director, at some point, because visuals somehow are so much more exciting. But in advertising, you had to blend the two, right? But when I went to Indonesia, um, I had to make presentations with my English scripts to a Chinese audience, Chinese Indonesians, and they, how inscrutable they are. They don't let you know what the hell they're thinking.
Yes.
And half the time I used to think, what? I've made this presentation. I have no clue whether they liked it, didn't like it, has it gone through, has it not gone through. And I realized that at that point in time, that words, don't cut it. When we do a storyboard and it's visual, you know and it's simple enough, then they get the story. So I realized that we in Indonesia, I wrote less and I showed more. The stories were all a visual story, and I realized the importance then of trying to do a combination. My poetry is, of course, about the language and the quirks of English and
Yes.
using
Yes.
puns and all that. So
Hmm.
but I felt that it needed a refreshing style as well. So with the visuals in them, like a children's book. Why not? Why shouldn't adults enjoy a book that looks like a children's book, but it's solely for us grown-ups?
Yes, and I think this is just the right moment to share with the viewers some wonderful photo doodling that Shubha has been doing, and I would request Anshuman to just share the screen, please. Shubha, would you describe
Yeah.
what is it that you've done here?
Okay, so this too happened by sheer chance and accident. I had a yellow piece of foam, and I had just took away these headphones, these very ones I'm wearing, and I put them, down, and suddenly they fell like this, as if they were both kind of like those, zuzus,
Yes,
Vodafone zuzus, and they seem like they're
yeah.
so animated, and I felt like, wow, they need to, I need to add something to it. So this is about the karaoke, so I wrote a poem that went with it. I think I may have sent a doodle, which was the earlier one. This one actually had the two of them. No, the previous one. It had the two of them with microphones in their mouths. I'm sorry. Yeah, just keep
Yeah.
it here. So yeah. So I kept adding to it. After this stage, I added the microphone so that it looked as if they were singing a karaoke song.
Oh wow. That's what photo doodling is
This
all
is photo.
about.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is photo
yeah.
doodling.
So she just used an everyday object, and she's made a doodle out of it. So next visual, Anshman, please. So this is very much of what we are doing today. Also, we sort of zooming on another platform, and so this is her photo doodle about Zoom. So how did you do this, Shiva?
So there were some ingredients in the kitchen that were lying, somewhere on the table, and I said, "Oh wow, this that yellow hair that you see is
What's that?
actually leaves of dill leaves. You know that palak
Oh,
called dill.
yes.
It had turned yellow, and and it was lying like that, and I thought, oh, it'll be interesting to draw a face into it. And suddenly I found onion. So the next one on that is an onion skin,
Oh,
onion head,
yes.
the top of the onion.
Yeah,
Then
yeah, yeah.
there's spaghetti, on the right hand guy who's gone to sleep. Then there's jeera on this lower left one,
Oh
and
my God.
then again some onion skin, and that is garlic skin.
Hmm. Wonderful, wonderful. This is just so creative.
It's
And
mad.
did any one of you think that poetry could look or feel like this? So this is wonderful. Thank you, Anshuman. So now coming to the craft of it, we know famous authors from J.K. Rowling to others. They've been napkin writers. They would just
Yeah.
grab any napkin in a restaurant or a cafe and and just scribble their story idea and their plot on that. Are you a napkin poet?
No, I'm not, oddly enough. But I'm a 3 a.m. poet. Somehow, for a whole year, I think I used to wake up at 3 a.m. wondering
Hmm.
why am I awake? And then,
Hmm.
I'll ask the question and then say, oh, maybe I have to do something. And suddenly, some line would hit me from something, and I think, oh, that'll make a theme for a poem, and I'd start beginning to just write something to kill time. And before I knew it, I realized that 2 hours would have gone by, and I was writing a poem, and I was doodling into it. So inspiration really comes in the oddest hours. I know, like we sit on the pot and all of that stuff. For me, it was also
After culture, that's the eureka moment we most of us
eureka
have.
moment, right?
And
So
somebody in the audience, I think Indu Balachandran, wants to know what came first, the poem or the doodle?
that all depends. It's impossible to say. Sometimes a sketch would start the poem, and sometimes a headline would start the sketch. Sometimes a joke would be done and ready, and then it would have a poem attached. It was absolutely random. There is no system to this. So again, gung ho, maybe. I don't know.
Danko. Yes,
Gung
that's
ho.
that's that's the anthem here. So
Yes.
you're you're quite a disciplined and structured poet. And Principal Bhupinder, he likes a eureka moment. You
Oh,
know,
right.
yeah. So,
Yes,
so,
we all look for
what is
it.
your eureka moment? Like, the 3 a.m.
My eureka moments, there've been too many, and sometimes the eureka moment will come well after something is done. After an entire poem is written, I think, oh my God, I wrote that. A little clever pun that I was unintended, but it's there in the, So this is the reason why I feel like I didn't write these poems. They were channeled through me. I was probably unaware, of the stuff I was doing at that time.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. Uh, you know, uh, since a lot of viewers, might be budding poets or even budding writers, I think one question that would be engaging most of them is, you've self-published your book.
Yes.
So, in just one or two sentences, how was your journey with publishers? And secondly, from your experience, what is the one agony and one ecstasy of self publishing?
Yeah, rejection is the agony. Um, I was pretty sure that whoever I went to, and I had been to a few, all said poetry. No, we don't do poetry. Do you write romance? And I would, I said I actually don't know what I was doing because there's no precedent, right? Nobody had done a book like this. So
Hmm.
I took a printout and I spiral bound it and I would show it to them, and actually they wouldn't get it. Is this a kid's book, or where do they slot this? So I would say no, it's for grown-ups, and it looked like too odd, and to take it on. So at some point I realized I'm hitting against a wall. I won't be able to. The drive inside me, because I had done graphic design and I had been in advertising as well, and I had been learned animation and all of that. It just became a absolutely overwhelming project where I wanted to explore everything I had ever learned in my life, through advertising, graphic design, and all the software that I had learned as well. So I turned the poems into songs. I actually set them to music, because my poetry is rhythmic, right? It's not blank verse. So
Yeah.
I set it to music and I animated it. So the first typographical poems set to music was something I
Hmm.
experimented with and had enormous fun. So I've done about 10 of those poems as well. So it's just sheer exploration. I would say that when you're doing it your way, and the publisher would always have restrictions on, even they would probably looked at my doodles and said, sorry, we have to get you an illustrator. You are not an illustrator. And I knew I was not. Was I? I mean, can I call myself an illustrator? No. So doodler fits me. So I felt like this was so fun and quirky, and I didn't want to give away the fun I was having. So I decided to just design the book as well myself, and
Wonderful,
take it
wonderful. I
all the
think
way.
we have to show the design to the viewers with the poem that we request you to recite, a poem from the book. Of
Yeah.
course, the poem which went to the JLF was Why Didn't They Ask Me When They Assembled My Body Parts? That's the title, is it?
Yes,
It's
that's
a
the point. Why didn't they ask me? Yeah. Yeah. So it
yeah.
looked like this. I'm
Okay.
not sure. This is the title. Am I showing it to you right?
Yes, yes. Why didn't they ask me? So that's the title. Before they assembled my body
My
parts.
body parts. Yeah.
That
So,
was the
so this whole
so
thing is about evolution. Yeah.
yeah. So a lot of people in the audience, Narinderjeet Kaur and Annie and Principal Bhupinder and Alka Kashyap, they're all raving about your book, and there are many more there whom we can't read right now. So this poem already has got its outing. So why don't you recite some other poem which is close to your heart and which has been doodled, which has some
Okay.
lovely visual to go with it.
Okay, so this one has everything in it. It designed itself. I have to show you how it designed itself.
Right.
It's
Would love
graphic,
to.
it's doodle, and yeah, and it's got so.
First, let's see the yellow page. Yeah, go figure. Okay.
Can you see it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, keep it here, keep it here. Yeah. That's
Ah,
it. Go figure. So what's that? What's the visual?
so the
Oh
visual
yes,
was.
I can see the
So this
best.
is the whole poem. Oops, I think I'll have to hold it a little away. So this is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole. Yeah,
Yes, that's it. So that's
yeah.
have you all seen poetry look like this? Wonderful. This is just so amazing and so refreshing. Absolutely.
So
So
when one is typing on a page, you're doing a left align, right? I mean,
hmm,
that's the normal
yeah,
way default is
yeah.
set up. By
Hmm.
accident, I hit the centralize button, and that's when it took this shape. So all the words just hit the center, and
Narendra
so
asks, how are poems different from limericks? How are your poems different from limericks? That's
limericks have only 5 lines, and they have a set rhyme scheme and rhythm.
hmm, hmm.
So that's very tight. Mine changes from poem to poem. I've done limericks too, but this thing is just random. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
so over to your poem now.
Okay. So this one says this is
I
about
think I wear the spectacles while you read. Am I getting the
you won't be able to see a thing.
Am I able to? I won't be able to see anything.
Won't
Carry
improve your vision. I'll tell you that. So this one
on.
says, uh, "Oh, go figure," and it's about our obsession with weight. I've not heard any walrus complain about its mass or shape or that it looks plain. Hippos revel in their extra large bulk. If they were size 0, they'd be in a sulk. I'm on a diet, said no pachyderm, nor dino, nor rhino, nor overfed worm. We came to gorge, not to look gorgeous. That extra flab makes us feel frabjous. But we humans are fussy, never content with body blubber for what it was meant. And what lies at the heart of the matter is guilt when we look upon our platter. From form and flesh is our constant obsession that spoils the pleasure of our ingestion. Depending on how the scales are tipping, we swing to extremes, we get stripping. On reflection, what brings us to terror is this invention we call the mirror. It tells the truth. We wish it lied. Every binge is hard to hide. The news on dieting is disquieting. We lose to gain. That's insane. Mass isn't created, nor is it lost. So, who found the appetite you tossed? Someone's eating what you put to waste. They're not bothered, it goes to their waste. Feel compelled to indulge a thirst? Are all deserts stressed, reversed? A for Atkins to 0 cal. No one spared, no lad nor gal. Every new theory tempted to try it. Fancy names for a fancy new diet. I'm the haunted serial killer. A no carb plan? What a thriller. Zilch appeals on my plate. I'm on my way to a size 0 state.
Wonderful. I think that was just so much fun. So we have a lot of people from the audience. Gurmeet Malikji writes, thank you for acquainting us with the talent in writing of Shubha Priya. And so many other readers, viewers are also writing in. And somebody's even commented about my quirky look with your
Yes.
spectacles. And that's in
What about
Bala
your?
Chakra.
What about your? I call Chetna the alliterating pundit. She alliterates and you pun.
Oh, wonderful. So, okay. So, that was a wonderful poem. And so now I think we have to we'll see if we have time in the end, for another one of your rhymes. But we have to move on to our, next level. And so I will just say it out, and you have to hold, because we have the doodler right here. So I
Oh,
suggested that for a rapid fire round, she do the doodle, and let's see what she's come up. So here's to our next round, the wrap up round, which we have called. Shubha, bring it on.
the
The
rapid
quickies,
fire
yes,
round.
the quickies, the quickies.
Quickies. Oh, well, yeah.
Quickies. So
Okay. So,
she
so she gave me a word and she said, I want the spectacles in that word. So this is a
so she's doodled the word quirky. And what's next? Quirky quickies.
that didn't work out. I'm sorry. That's going to take away.
We
Something like
are, we
this.
are
I don't know. I don't know.
quirky, quirky is quirky enough. So she doodled the
Oops.
title of our, rapid fire round, which I'm going
Quickie.
to call Quirky Quickies, and which is open to our audience also. So all of you join in the fun. Keep typing and keying in your, responses. And so here's, are you all set, Shubha?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead.
okay. So, wherever the audience feels they can come up with some smart replies, so they are most welcome to join in all the whimsicality and the wit of it. So, here's shooting off the first one. Um, what do you think if Ogden Nash had to write one or two lines about the pandemic? What would it be?
Oh my God.
Just put yourself in his shoes.
Wow. I don't think even he may not be able to come up with this so fast. um,
Maybe some title of a poem that he probably would
he
have
would have
written.
written. Um,
Pandemic.
I know. I think it's pots and pans now that make up the pandemic because you're all at home cooking.
Oh, good. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Uh, well, coming to the old school poets, you're quite an anti-poet, but we can't, not bring them in somewhere. So, if an old school poet, say like Mirza Ghalib, you know of him.
Oops.
If Mirza Ghalib came out of his grave after reading your book,
Oh.
what would you say to him?
Uh, I'd say thank you for changing your style and noticing that there were others like me around doing poetry differently.
Okay, we have people in the audience coming up with their bit of poetry. So let me just read that out. We have Nishant Srivastav saying pandemic is quirky, jerky, perky, and turkey. Is it? Okay. And we have Principal Bhupinder writing Nash. Candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker.
Quicker, yeah, that is Nash. Yes, and a bit of
Yeah.
talcum is always welcome. That too.
Yeah. So you have budding poets out there in the audience. I'm sure they're very. Oh, there's another one from the principal. Pandemic is a drill master. Put us behind window grills. He's rhyming grill and drill. He's a master of drill. Put us behind the
Then
window.
Bennett grill.
That's it.
Yeah.
So have you taken care of Mirza Ghalib?
Any
You
more,
you
Mr. Gal?
No,
Yes.
so you'll just pack him off with your
Oh yeah,
reply,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. So out of the following, who? Okay, first the other one I'll take. So just a title or a line of whimsical poetry that you can think of for the following people. It could just be a word, a title of a prospective or possible poem, anything that comes to your mind. Option A, Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Sorry, how about
Donald,
Donald Trump?
yeah,
Yeah,
I see he's mentioned in your book already. I noticed.
yeah, I mentioned him in my book. Yeah. Well, you know that the slogan, um, "Love trumps hate."
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
So
Yeah,
that was the Democratic slogan: "Love trumps hate." But
yeah.
if you little put a little apostrophe after "Love trumps" with the T caps, and put
Hmm.
an apostrophe after it, it becomes "I love Trump's hate."
Yes. So,
Just the
so
little apostrophe can
yes,
change the entire meaning of the
yes,
same
yes,
sentence.
absolutely. So what do you have to say? Uh, any one line or title of a possible poem, seeing his condition right now? Donald Trump down with COVID.
He's long had COVID hair. I would write a poem about his COVID hair now. I don't know if he can maintain that style anymore. I'd love to
Okay.
see what happens when he's lying in bed
We
without
have
that
Hindu Balachandran writing Nash and Shubha to note COVID rhymes with horrid, sordid, morbid,
morbid,
and
what
morbid.
morbid.
Okay, that was good.
That
Okay, so
all of that describes him.
yeah, so one line of poetry or a title of a poem for Kamala Harris.
Whoa. Uh, the Tamils, she's Tamilian, you know that, right?
Yeah,
Why she's
for
from Chennai?
Chennai.
Yeah, she's
The
from Chennai, in fact. Um, I,
anything that just blank. Okay, we leave it. Leave
Chennai
it.
chick,
Leave it.
Chennai chick. She's a Chennai chick.
Chennai chick. Okay. So now we move on to something more interesting. We are going to turn on its head the popular saying about women with girls with glasses. So here's the question: girls with glasses make make passes at boys with or without glasses. So if you
Hmm.
had to make a pass at the following, what would your cheesy line be? So your option A is Arnab Goswami. The nation wants to know what would your line be?
The, the nation wants to know, um, if a person wearing a square and a round glass like I do, am I can I see both sides of the argument when I wear something like this? So I think Arnav needs to have this on when he starts railing and ranting. Mm.
Okay, and
So
if a girl with the quirky glasses were to make a pass at Sean Connery, what would that be?
Sean Connery,
Yes.
well, I really don't think that this year I am able to say anything more about this because my accent really is not it's at its best today. I tried to do a Scottish accent.
Okay, so
Sorry
now we
about that.
quickly quickly move to just one or two of them left. Who among the following do you think has the makings of a whimsical poet? Option A, Chetan Bhagat. Option B, Shashi Tharoor. Option C, Navjot Sidhu. Option D is Kapil Sharma.
Kapil Sharma. Well, literary wise,
Sorry.
I wish actually Shashi Tharoor, I'd love to place my book in his hands someday. But he's the guy who will probably do English quirk, world class. But I think any of the others, if they attempted it, would probably come up with something extraordinary. Who knows? But yeah,
Shashi
all of them.
Thurur, the audience can also give in their responses of who out of the four they think would make a whimsical poet. Anyways, so now we move on to the next. And Twitter poetry. How can we ignore that in today's time? So, your take on Twitter's micro poetry. So, option A, not the real thing. Option B, overrated. Option C, good for beginners. Option D, best thing to happen.
Best thing to happen, because if you can write in tight short phrases and actually convey an entire story, it's fantastic. Like Hemingway's story, he
Yeah.
had 6 words in the poem. We just said, um, for sale, baby shoes never worn. So it's a short. And I think many people should attempt this. It's flash fiction and flash poetry, but it's very demanding. It's not easy at all. One really has to work hard at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have the audience also coming up with interesting answers. Suresh Shankarji writes, would you rather Chetan be chatty or shush up Sashi? It's a tongue twister. And some people have said Navjot Sidhu would make a good whimsical poet. That's Nishant Srivastav. And Suman Bakshi says maybe Kapil Sharma in English, and Annie goes with Shashi. So interesting responses coming in. Okay, now I think we need to wrap up. So here's the finale of uh, quirky quickies round, and so we don't want to go by stereotypes, but who do you think has a better sense of humor? Option A, Indian men. Option B, Indian women. Option C, North Indian men and women. Option D, South Indian men and women. So that's we'll get all kinds of responses because we have audiences from all over. So let's see what everybody has to say about this.
So
What's
it's the
your
audience
take?
round.
No, your take on it, Shubha. Who has a better sense of humor? Indian men,
Uh,
Indian women.
yeah, all kinds of men. Yeah, men. I don't know. I think men have been at it for a long time. So, I think they're a little more relaxed about life and all of that. Yeah, but I see a lot of really good poetry written by mostly men. Where are the women doing it?
Oh,
But you asked
okay.
the sense of humor or poetry? Sense of
No,
humor?
kind of humor, generally, not just in
Generally. Oh, I
yeah,
see. Okay.
oh,
Hard to tell.
yeah,
It's
hard
a
to say.
mixed bag. It's a
It's a
mixed
big
bag. It's like my spectacles. This is a male and this is female.
okay. So you have any two lines you want to wrap up with? Very quick ones. Any?
Uh, well, advice for the whole, for anyone setting off to do something funny and
Yes.
different. Um,
Yeah.
you know, just be open to some serendipitous, chance happening in life, because that's when I think the most joy happens. It doesn't matter whether it leads to anything, but create with serendipity.
Okay, okay. We have the audience writing in. Rita Shah says women have a better sense of humor. Nishant Srivastava says North Indian men and women. Alka Kashyap says North Indian men and women for sure. They can laugh at themselves. So, anyways, so all kinds of feeling out there. And now if I have to um, can you just hold up your book and your spectacles, that bookmarks,
Oh,
So
the
yeah,
bookmark. Oops. The
that's
bookmark.
it. Yes,
Yeah, it
and 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 we
This is
have
the
to
book.
show the audience. We are in the color theme of Shubha's book, by the way. So we have a color code which matches the color theme of her book. And so to wrap up today's wonderful laughathon, I would call it. I think if I have to describe, Shubha using a food analogy. So, what would I say? She's a bit like a Greek salad platter, is it? You
I'm
know,
a khichdi. You don't want me to be a khichdi?
khichdi, no, khichdi is hodgepodge. So, so
Hodgepodge.
she's like a
That's it.
platter of Greek salad, and all wrapped into one, and you don't know where to start with the cheese or the lettuce or the other stuff.
Oh,
So we don't know whether to start with seeing her doodles first or reading her poetry first. So that's our platter of Greek salad for you. And so let's both of us wear your glasses. For I wish I can, wearing these glasses, will that make me whimsical? I hope so.
well, I
So
think my
here's the
vision is completely clear now.
hmm.
You
So
know,
here's
we
wrapping
look
up.
actually terribly. Yeah,
And so I hope wearing these spectacles will make all of us a bit whimsical about looking at life through the lens of poetry. So here's wrapping up. So she's like a Greek salad platter, and we loved the bits about doodling, and of course, we loved the poetry too. So, all of you out there, budding poets or even budding writers who don't know, where to go if you want to publish your book, so she is just the right inspiration. So thank you so much, Shubha, on behalf of the Chandigarh Literary Society, and thank you so much to the wonderful audience, which is still writing into us. There is Bhanu Ramaswamy writing love her humor and quirkiness, and Rajpreet Deswal writing in that enjoyed the session, and Principal Rupinder saying quintessentially catapulting into the humorous zone both the authors. So, uh,
lovely,
uh, thank you so much, and thank you
lovely, Chetna.
all of you out there for being there and for cheering us on and being our cheerleaders. Thank you,
Uh,
Shubha. Thank
Absolutely
you.
my pleasure. Thanks a
Thank you.
ton, Chetna, and to all your fans. Wonderful, wonderful time.
Yeah, you all turned into your fans now. I'm pretty envious. So my yellow is turning a bit green right now, So Parvati is writing in lovely session. Everybody, Alka Kashyap says, great show. And Idupala Chandran is, she has emoticons, and I think the emoticons are beer mugs or something like that. And Sajita Nair writes, thank you, Shiva and Chetna, for that fun conversation. So I think now we need to
Thank
do
you.
something off stage. So a very good evening and good night to all of you from here
Wonderful. Thank you all so
uh,
much.
on behalf of Chandigarh.